Hello everyone, welcome to this session on tuples. We have understood what a list means and what a dictionary means. So a tuple is also a sequence of values like how we use a list, but the difference here is that lists are mutable whereas the tuples are immutable, and also the values within a tuple, they can be of any type and we index them using the integers. So the only difference here is that tuples are immutable, so you cannot make the changes to the values which will throw you an error. So tuple, we can formally define it as a comma separated list of values. So how do we do that is, so look at this line here. We have a parenthesis, and within the parenthesis we have defined few values here, a b c d e. So t is representing a tuple. So if you want to define, or if you want to only have a single element within your tuple, you will be doing it in this way, as t1 is equal to a. And if you see here, there's a comma preceded after this element. So what does this comma say is that it represents it as a tuple. Let us see the difference. If you are not using a preceding comma here after the element, on only the element, and if you check the type using this type function, so it specifies, if you're not preceding it with a comma, it specifies, or it considers it to be a string basically. If you are preceding it with a comma, then it shows that this is basically a tuple. So we can we can use this type function to understand what type of object it basically belongs to. So now and if it's a single element, always remember you have to have a comma after the element. And if you want to use a built-in function, then you can use this tuple function to create a empty tuple. And then if you are trying to print that t, then it gives you empty parenthesis. So just like how we were using the the square bracket, the flower braces, so in this way this parenthesis specifies a tuple. And here if you observe this, if the argument is something like in this way, that is the elements, then if you're calling this as a tuple, and if you give a tuple call on the set of values, that is something like call to a tuple. It is like there's already a tuple called as lupins, and you're again calling that tuple using this function called as tuple. And then if you try to print, then this is not considered as one single element. Instead, each letter or each character is considered to be one value within the tuple. And the same way indexing, I told you, it works in the same way. If you want to access the first element, then you can easily access by using the name. So t of 0 will give you an access to the first element. And in the same way, if you want to perform slicing while you are extracting or while printing, the slicing concept can also be applied in a similar way. So if I give 1 to 3, it means that starting from the first element up to the 3 minus 1. So if I apply it to this tuple, then it means I start from b, and that is 0 1 2 3 minus 2. So b c will be printed. And I told you tuples are immutable. So if I try to assign some other value to t of 0, I am trying to assign say a here, then I get an error stating that this assignment is not possible, because basically tuples are immutable. And you cannot just modify, you can perform any kind of that is the concatenation, that is you can append values to your tuple, just like in this, it's in the same way like how we did with strings and all. So you cannot change any value which is already there, but you can add more values to it. So here we are just appending some values to it using this that is the concatenation, or that is the plus operator, and just trying to add values. We'll see all these in the hands-on session, how they are working, and then how we can compare the tuples. So here there are two tuples, 0 1 2 and 0 3 4. These are two tuples. So how do we know these are tuples? Is we have included this within the parenthesis here. So when we are trying to apply some comparison operator, so how does Python do this comparison is, it goes element by element. So if like say the first two comparing the first elements of the first tuple and the, that is tuple 1 and tuple 2 only, we get the result, then it's fine, it declares it. Else if it is like say equal, then it goes to the next element. So in our case 0 and 0, they are both equal, so it goes to the next element 1 and 3. So in this case 1 is less than 3, so it just stops here and returns the value 2. In case here also we have say 1, then it goes to the next element and then check. So how does comparison work is, it just compares the first element. If the only if there is the decision cannot be made within the first element, only then it goes to the next element for comparison. So how does this sort function is, so it is using a pattern called this DSU pattern, that is the decorate, sort and undecorate pattern. So wherein first is decorate is you are building a list of tuples, that is where you want to convert it into, in case like you have a kind of tie or something, so you are basically first decorating that and then you are sorting. So sorting is nothing simple here, you are just using your sort function. And then undecorated, say like first now you have a tuple, you're converting it into a list, that is your decorate here, and then you're sorting that list, and then again you're extracting it back or converting it back to a list. So this is called as the DSU pattern within your tuple. So they have taken an example here wherein a list of words are being sorted from the longest word to the shortest, that is in terms of the length, basically the sorting happens here. So txt is that set of words here. We have a split here, so we know that split function, how does it split is, we without specifying the delimiter, the splitting happens across the white space here. So but soft what light in yonder window break, so the it will be split into these set of words here. And this we have converted, or basically we want to have a list here, we have created an empty list using this keyword called list. And then for each word within this set of words, we have just tried to append the length of the word to the word. Something like if I have a word but, I just so if there is a word called as but here, so I'll take but and I'll append the length to it, something like this I'm appending. And in the same way, if I have a word called as soft, I'm just appending the length of that particular word. So that is what we are doing in that particular line, just appending the length of the word. So why are we doing this is based on the length only we are trying to sort here. And then t dot sort reverse is equal to true. So why are we giving this reverse is equal to true within the sort function is in the reverse order. That is you don't want normally without specifying anything, usually sorting happens in the ascending order, but if you want it to be in the descending order, then you need to set the reverse is equal to true. And then that list is being saved as result. And then within your for each length and word, you will be appending the word to the list called as the resultant list, so that the list will be sorted in the descending order. So starting from the word with the highest, that is the word which has the more number of characters, to the one which has the least number of characters. So this is what is the expected output. I'll show you in the hands-on session also. Okay, there are other three topics. I'll share it in the next video, else this video becomes more lengthy. So with this, I'll show you some hands-on also.